Western Cape High Court in Cape Town currently hearing the EFF's application against an increase in the general fuel levy. The party says Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana took the incorrect approach in his decision to propose this increase. Godongwana, you might remember, last month announced increases of about 15 and 16 cents a litre for diesel and petrol respectively as he tabled his budget. The general fuel levy increase is due to take effect tomorrow, but not if the EFF has their way. SABC News reporter Bulelani Phillip is watching the story and joins us now live in court. And Bulelani, it seems there's been a short adjournment. Take us through what's happened so far.
Well, good morning to you, Ayanda, and to the viewers at home. Of course, we are coming to you right inside Court 19, where the urgent application by the EFF is being heard. Of course, now we've just adjourned for tea. And of course, the party is bringing Part A and Part B of this application. And to unpack what this application means, we're now joined by Ompile Mautwe, who is the Treasurer General of the EFF. Thank you so much, TG, for making time for us. Firstly, can you give us the distinction between what Part A aims to do and what Part B aims to do?
Thank you very much, and greetings to you and the viewers at home. So Part A is an urgent court interdict to stop the fuel levy increase that is expected to go tonight. And then Part B deals with the actual levy increase that we are challenging in court, that the minister has used the wrong act. So as with the VAT, we argued that the minister does not have powers to bring in a national tax outside of the scope of the Money Bills Act. So if you read Constitution Section 77, it's very clear that any national tax that gets to be introduced, it has to follow the Money Bills Act. So the difficulty with this one is that it doesn't do that. And he himself says that in his budget that he's introducing a tax, but he wants to bring in that tax through a regulation, which is why there's a government gazette with a notice of the fuel increase. And we're saying, but you don't have powers to do that. The powers that you have is for you to leave it to Parliament. You are a member of the executive, and you have presented the fiscal framework and the revenue proposals, which is now a product of Parliament, and allow the Parliament to take its course. And the parliamentary process has started in the committee from Friday, the 23rd of May, after the tabling, which was on the 21st of May. So on the 23rd of May, the minister came to brief the committee on actually what is it that he had tabled on the Wednesday. And the EFF came up very clear that we reject the fuel levy on Friday, the 23rd. So it did not come with a letter on the 26th. It came actually on the 23rd. If you were to go to the parliamentary recordings, you will find it in the recordings of Parliament that on the 23rd of May, already the EFF made it clear that we rejected the fuel levy, followed by, of course, the letter that came in on the 26th of May, which asked Minister the question, where did you rely on? What did you rely on? Which powers do you have? To this day, we're still waiting for his response. To that letter, he only acknowledged receipt of it. So we're here because our letter has not been responded to. And there was no response from the minister. There was no gazette until yesterday.
We do expect the judgment to be delivered later this afternoon and or early evening. If the court would rule in your favor, what is the implication for the approval of the budget?
It means the fiscal framework and revenue proposal must be amended. So the court would have actually compelled the committee to amend it, because as it is now, that fiscal framework and revenue proposal has got the fuel levy increase in it, which the minister argues in his own replying affidavit that he's going to collect 3.5 billion out of it. So that 3.5 billion is included on the budget that he has tabled. So when he says I've got so much trillions, he has counted the 3.5 billion. And
so if the court rules in your favor, we're looking at budget for?
Not necessarily. He must just go and look for that 3.5 billion shortfall. He can find it without having to, it will be very painful because we want our people to get the budget. You do know that they can't go beyond the 31st of July without an approved budget. That will mean that he's acting outside of the scope of the Constitution, and that will be unconstitutional and unlawful. So we are not trying to stall the process, but we must just make sure that the minister does not encroach on other people's powers like he's trying to do with this fuel increase. So we're hoping that he'll be able to revise his budget without cutting any expenditures anyway, especially with relates to matters of service delivery. He cannot cut the budget that goes to the municipalities, that goes to social development, to education, to health, to police. He can't, because that will be a pure austerity budget. So we're against that. But we're saying there's so much that he can still do within the budget. But Oksalayo, we're going to amend the budget that he has tabled before Parliament.
All right, thank you so much, Ompile Mautwe. She is the EFF's Treasurer General. Of course, at the moment, it's still the EFF Legal Counsel that is putting arguments, and later after that, it will be the Minister of Finance Legal Counsel who will respond to the arguments. And as I've indicated earlier, judgment is expected later this afternoon or early evening. Of course, this is a full bench of judges headed by Justice Nathan Erasmus. On that note, Ayanda, we cross back to you in studio.
All right, Bulelani, Phillip live to us there from the High Court in the Western Cape. Thanks very much indeed. It's been a bumper court day. The High Court in Bloemfontein has ruled that the extradition of Muradi Cholota from the US was unlawful. Judge Phillip found that the court also doesn't have the jurisdiction to try the former personal assistant to then Free State Premier Ace Magashule for corruption. Cholota was one of 18 people accused in the 255 million rand Free State asbestos corruption case. The NPA spokesperson, that's Advocate Mtunzi Mhaka, say they study this judgment.